Well, hello 2009. You'll be the year I remember most for being, well, the year I actually had to write about video games instead of just playing them. Sounds like a fun job, huh? Well, it definitely can be. It meant I actually had to do something I rarely do with most games, which is finish them, and on a schedule. Try that with a 50-hour game like Dragon Age, and you'll earn an appreciation for the job the giant bomb editors do each week. But enough of that. If Jeff hears about me kissing his ass anymore, I'll have to add a game release tracking for Paraguay or something. Let's get to the games. Let's start this list off right with a genre I have no business enjoying: racing. You might not know this, but I'm not much of a car guy. In fact, I once built a website dedicated to cars without actually owning one. All the more surprising then that I found so much to love in Forza Motorsport 3. Great looks, tight controls, and a minimalist menu that made me bow down to the UI gods at turn 10. Number 9 goes to Empire Total War. The Total War franchise has always been hard for me to classify. Half turn-based, half real-time, 100% fun. I can't think of a bigger, more ambitious game release this year. While some might be put off by the ball and musket setting and the not-so-consistent sea battles, the game still came across to me as the deepest strategy title this year. If you're a fan of Civilization or Sid Meier's Gettysburg, then Empire is definitely worth a charge up the hill for you. I finished Uncharted 2 in 2 sittings over 2 days. Like a great book, I was compelled to finish it completely from cover to cover as quickly as possible. Uncharted 2 is essentially like a day at your favorite amusement park. Fun, fast, and full of charm. My only complaint, and the reason it isn't higher on my list, is that I felt the later half of the game forced me to die several times before I could make it to the next scripted sequence. Still, what a game. I can now forget all the madness from the last indie movie. Infamous holds a special place in my heart for being the game that, well, it bricked my PS3. Maybe it had something to do with me playing it non-stop earlier this spring. While I found the story mostly forgettable, Infamous won me over with its amazing controls and, well, just the flow of that game. Gliding from rooftops to wires, back to rooftops, felt so smooth I often lost memory of this pudgy, beer-filled body and felt the rhythm and athleticism its protagonist exuded on screen. Well, actually, maybe that was just the beer. Number 6 goes to Dawn of War 2, made by my now favorite RTS developer, Relic. Like Company of Heroes before it, Dawn of War 2 brings the battle to the small scale by focusing on hectic, low unit count engagements. In fact, the game feels more like a better Dungeon Siege than any traditional RTS I've ever played. I love the look, the upgrades, and the world presented in the game. While the multiplayer felt like an utterly different and somewhat generic experience, that doesn't stop me from wanting to give the game a big nerd hug for doing well by a universe that I just adore. Duder, we are midway through this list. It is time to lighten it up. What better way to get a laugh than by mentioning Ratchet & Clank, A Crack in Time, a game packed with giggles and jokes for, well, the 12-year-old me. Like a great animated film, Ratchet & Clank knows that most of the fun is making fun of itself. Why have a shotgun when you can have a fish belch at enemies? I loved everything about this game. The puzzles, the combat, the visual style. This is a core genre game that proves the traditional platformer still has a lot to offer gamers. Indestructible, some inside me, oh, yeah, Street Fighter 4. Proving that my mid-90s fighting obsessions were genuine, SF4 brought me back to a time when I could witness the confusion in my father's eyes, when I'd return to the dinner table at the local restaurant asking for more quarters. I can't think of a game I put more hours into this year. I certainly can't think of another game that actually cramped my hands. Street Fighter 4 is, well, it's a Street Fighter game, and that's all it needed to be. Bravo. The number 3 spot goes to my sleeper hit of the year, Cryostasis, the Sleep of Reason. While this buggy release from the Ukraine might be a little slow paced for some gamers, it presented something I rarely get to witness in games, or, well, media in general. Utter surprise. I've never played a game quite like Cryostasis. Its story, delivered through inventive flashback mechanisms, isn't always coherent, but it's definitely memorable. If you want something a little different than what you're used to, you might want to take a trip on the North Wind. And I mean a trip. In a year of very few notable RPG releases, Dragon Age Origins filled the void with a simply superb outing from BioWare. Honestly, I didn't expect much from Dragon Age. Certainly not something as deep and strategic as the game I sunk some 50 hours to complete this fall. Dragon Age is easily the best RPG released in years and gives hope to the tenacity of micromanaged style RPGs surviving in the next decade. I can't think of a game I'm more looking forward to a sequel from next year. Yep, that's right. There's still one left. One game I felt was even better than Dragon Age, though it was a tough choice in the end. That game is Batman Arkham Asylum. If you would have told me I'd pick a pure action game as my game of the year, I'd say to you, random internet user, you don't know me very well. But you know what? The newest Batman was the most complete, tight experience from beginning to end I had in gaming this year. As a lifelong comic book fan, I grinned from ear to ear with how good not just this game was, but how good this Batman experience was. Great stealth, combat, collectibles, and boss fights. Dude, boss fights. How can you get any better than fighting Joker, Poison Ivy, Killer Croc, and Bane in the same game? You can't. And that's why this is the game of the year. Done. I'm out of here.